my name is Danielle and I am the owner of Damn Fancy Creations and the Drunk Flamingo Glitter. If y'all are new to my channel, I do want to let you know that you can catch my content in 2 other places. I have a large tutorial group on Facebook as well as a smaller, more personal Patreon group where I offer exclusive content, free digital files, discount codes, and fun group challenges each month. Both of those groups are going to be linked in the description in case you guys want to check them out. Today's tutorial is a new technique that I have never done before. I'm sure that other people have done them before, so you may have already seen a tutorial on this. I'm not sure. I just kind of winged it, so hopefully it turns out okay. But we are going to be doing a fun double peekaboo. So we're going to have a peekaboo with glitter and a peekaboo with spray paint on the same cup. And of course, since Valentine's Day is coming up, the cup is going to be covered with fun hearts. I really enjoyed doing this cup. I always like doing different techniques that I haven't done before. It's definitely a trial and error process, and I learned a ton of stuff along the way, so I can kind of pass along what you should and shouldn't do in my tutorial to you guys. So if you guys are ready to see how I create this fun double peekaboo tumbler, let's get started. Alright guys, so we are going to start with glittering this tumbler. I just apply about 10 to 20 milliliters of epoxy on each of my tumblers. I do add a little bit more epoxy than most people would when doing the epoxy method, just because I like my epoxy to soak up all of that glitter and help it lay really, really flat. The glitter I am using today is Valentine. It is a new glitter from the Drunk Flamingo Glitter. It was in my flock box this past month. If you guys don't have it, I highly suggest it. It's definitely a Valentine glitter. So I am just pouring the glitter on each of these tumblers. I decided to use 2 base colors just to show you guys the difference. And if I would do anything different about this process, it would be not to glitter the bottom. I typically don't glitter the bottom if I'm going to be doing peekaboos, but I just did it without even thinking about it. I don't like to glitter the bottom because it makes it easier when I'm doing my peekaboo and trying to cover up any of the glitter so that the bottom is a lot smoother. Unless obviously you know you're going to be putting a decal or removing some of the paint at the bottom, it's best just to not glitter it. It just makes it easier on you in the long run. This is also a glitter that was in my flock box. This is a Love Potion. I did end up making 4 of these tumblers. 3 of them were for my cup of the month, for my patrons. In my mentor tier, they get a cup each month. And 1 of them was in my ready to buy sale. I did decide to go back in with Love Potion, which is the fine glitter of dark and light pinks, and I just sprinkled it on top of Valentine just to fill in any blank spots. 2 of the tumblers I did not sprinkle this glitter on. I just wanted them to be a little bit different and not all the same. And I'm just using my tea strainer to sprinkle a little bit of the glitter on. I didn't want to pour it and get too much. I always use my little tea strainer. I lost the one that I normally use, so this is a different one, but it works okay. And once that first layer of epoxy has dried, we are going to go back in, and I'm just kind of rubbing any of the loose glitter off. I usually take a paintbrush and brush any loose glitter off, but I just decided to use my hands this time, get any of the pricklies off of there. And I am just going to apply my epoxy just like normal. I am using a decent amount of epoxy. It is probably 30-40 milliliters. I don't usually measure my epoxy. I know that's terrible, but I usually mix for, 5-6 cups. I think this one I had a lot more that I epoxied. My turner will hold 12 cups. But this glitter is pretty thick, it's pretty chunky, so you are going to want to mix a little more than you normally would for a fine glittered tumbler. The tumbler next to this one is made with my anti-Valentine Day mix, which is arsenic and old lace. It is a super pretty color. I will link that tutorial now for you guys if y'all want to check that one out. And for these cups, I'm kind of just pressing that epoxy into the glitter, just making sure that every part is covered well. And I will do 2 layers of epoxy, then sand it really good, and then add another layer of epoxy, because before I add my decals and spray paint it for the peekaboo, I want my base to be very, very smooth, because I don't want to see any glitter bumps underneath that spray paint. And even though this is chunky glitter, I am just barely coating the edges with epoxy just to kind of get that glitter covered, because even though I want that glitter covered, I don't want it to be super bumpy and uneven. Then I'm going to take my CCDIY torch, and we are going to torch for 1 full rotation. I usually count to 14 because I know that 14 seconds equals 1 full rotation. So that way I'm sure that every part of my tumbler is getting hit with that torch and popped all the bubbles. I will also come back in about 10 minutes and pop bubbles again. So here is what our tumbler looks like after epoxy. You guys can see that it is super smooth. This has 2 layers of epoxy, then sanded, and then another layer of epoxy, just to make sure that everything is really smooth and ready for our decals and spray paint. And I am showing you guys the difference in the colors. The first tumbler was just Valentine on a hot pink base. The second one had the Love Potion mixed in. This is Valentine on rustic pink base, and this one is on rustic pink but also has Love Potion mixed in. So you guys can see the difference in what base colors can make, and just adding a little bit of fine glitter. I really, really love the hot pink. This is just a fluorescent pink from Krylon. So now we are ready for our decals. I printed the vinyl and then the offset. And when you're doing this process, you really have to think about what images you want to be the glittered peekaboo, and then what parts you want to be the spray paint peekaboo. So I basically just printed a ton of hearts. So here are all of my black hearts. These are going to be my peekaboos. And then I printed some holographic pink hearts. These are going to be applied after all of my decals are removed. So this tumbler definitely has a lot of components to it, but they turn out super, super pretty. And if you just kind of think about it in one step at a time, it's not as difficult as you may think. I did have to go cut some more transfer tape, one that was long enough for this Be Mine. So I'm just going to line up my text. I like to match up the letters so you guys can see that the E and B and mine are both even with that line, so I know that my decal is straight. And then I'm going to line up the lines on the transfer tape with the tumbler. So that everything is going to be as straight as I can get it. And we're just going to press that down really good. And now I'm basically just going to apply some hearts. So I pretty much just started applying hearts all over this tumbler. And then I remembered that I needed to save some of these hearts for our second peekaboo. So I did end up removing some of these hearts. I didn't want it to be too crowded. This is one of those instances where I got ahead of myself and then thought about what I was doing after the fact. But I still wanted to show you guys, just because, you know, I like sharing mistakes that I make. You know, everybody does it. Sometimes we have to rethink our process. I'm no different from you guys. This is where I started thinking, oh yes, I need to leave room for our second peekaboo and for my hearts that are going to be applied after the fact. So CCDIY tweezers to the rescue. And since this vinyl was just peekaboo, you know, it didn't really matter if they had like little creases or anything in it. I was not concerned about that. And the vinyl I'm using is just regular permanent vinyl. I don't have removable vinyl. I've never used it. I just have always used whatever vinyl I have on hand, and I buy this by the roll, 15-foot roll. So I always have plenty on hand. All right, so I was pretty happy with this. You guys can see that I still have a lot of space there. So now we're ready to spray paint this, our first color. So this is the color I chose. It's just a very light baby pink. And once this spray paint is completely dry, we're going to apply some more hearts, and this is going to be for our second peekaboo. The original hearts are going to be the glitter peekaboo, and then our second hearts are going to be spray painted peekaboo. And I really wanted that layered look, so you guys can see that I am layering these hearts on top of the hearts that I already have on the tumbler in some spots. All of them are not going to be overlapping, but some of them are, just to give it a layered look. And this spray paint did sit overnight. We want to make sure that it's completely dry because we don't want this vinyl to peel up the paint. And I try to go with flat paint whenever I can, but some colors they just don't make in flat. And I know that spray paint is really hard to come by right now. But this was a gloss, I believe, and it did work fine. So I am just applying my second layer of hearts randomly around the tumbler. There is literally, you know, you don't need to think about it too much because they're just hearts. It's just a tumbler and it will turn out cute no matter what. And I am kind of removing the tack a little bit from these tumblers. Or from the vinyl, not tumblers. Hello. And here comes the train that comes by my house like every 10 minutes. And there's a helicopter going on. I don't know what's going on today. Lots of noise. And once you're happy with your second round of heart placement, it is time to spray paint again. So these are the two colors I used for this one. It was Pink Peony and Rustic Pink. The other one was Florescent Pink and Flat White. I just decided to pick colors that I thought would go well together. And once the spray paint is completely dry again, we are just going to peel off all of those decals. And I am peeling off very slowly. This video is sped up just a little bit. So I was very careful. I used these tweezers to help me get started, just so I wouldn't scratch the paint or anything like that. Once I could get a good grip on the vinyl, it was really easy to just kind of peel that vinyl up. And so you guys can already see that both of these peekaboos are turning out really good. That light pink peony and then the glitter. And no, I did not have any residue from the vinyl on my paint or on the epoxy. I've never had that problem with my vinyl. I don't know if it's just the brand that I use. I just get it from my local vinyl supplier, which is Perfect Press HTV. They are located in Norcross, Georgia. If you guys live in northern Georgia, you should definitely check them out. So we are just peeling up all of this vinyl that is on the tumbler, and then it will be ready for our next step. All right, guys, so once everything is off, I am just kind of adding these holographic hearts randomly around the tumbler. I just printed different sizes. Some were about 1.5 inches, some were 1/2 inch, just so I had some different size options. And again, you guys can see that I was kind of layering them on the other hearts just to give it a layered effect. And now it was time to apply our offset to the quote. And I decided to do black because I wanted the Be Mine to kind of stand out. I could have done pink or holographic, but I didn't want it to blend in. So I did go with black, and I think it turned out really good. And if I have long quotes like this, I tend to do it in sections. So I just picked up the BE with my transfer tape. And then I went back and picked up the Mine. And I did have to go back and fix one little piece that got picked up. But I think it was coming together and it was turning out super cute. So now I'm going to show you guys how I applied the gold leaf foil, or this is copper leaf foil actually. This was kind of a last minute decision. I wasn't planning to add copper leaf, but I just thought it would look really cool. So for the first part, some spray paints will attract the gold leaf itself, not needing to add anything else to it. And this particular paint could do that. My flat white paint did not do that. So I did have to go and apply gold leaf with Tack It. which is also how I apply it a little bit later on in the video. But you can always try to just kind of burnish it into the spray paint to begin with. It will save you a step. So I'm just basically pressing some of this copper leaf into the heart of the spray paint. It does not stick to the rustic pink, I think, because it is a flat spray paint and the pink peony is a gloss spray paint. So it really just kind of stuck on there. And I just use my soft little makeup brush just to get any little pieces of gold leaf that may just be sticking up and not adhering well. And so this is what it looks like so far. So the next step is going to be adding the gold leaf to the rest of the tumbler. So I decided to show you guys on this color just so you guys can see the different color combos I did. This one was flat white and candy pink gloss, and the base is a fluorescent pink. And I cannot remember, I don't think I applied Tack It to this one. It is sitting there, but I think I used that on the other color. So for this tumbler, I am just basically burnishing the copper leaf into the paint. I believe that that is how I did this one. I can't remember because I did so many and it's been a little while since I've done these. If the copper or the gold leaf does not stick to the paint of the tumbler, you can use Tack It. I did use that for some of these. It may have been the opposite color. If you guys are not familiar with Tack It, it is basically a repositional glue that never gets hard. It does not dry. It remains tacky. So you can apply it to your tumbler, and when it dries, it will still be sticky. So you can apply glitter, gold leaf, things like that, and get cool effects. But this one, I'm pretty sure that I just attached the gold leaf or the copper leaf just by burnishing it into the spray paint. I want to say it is the gloss paint that does not adhere well. You do have to use Tack It on the gloss paint. And if you would rather use Tack It, you can definitely do that. I just prefer a more distressed look. And I was able to achieve that by just kind of burnishing the leaf into the spray paint. And since we did not do a peekaboo on the bottom, I did make sure that there was plenty of gold leaf down there, just so the bottom wasn't super plain. And once I was happy with my tumbler, once I was happy with my gold leaf, then I put the tumbler back on my turner and I put 2 more layers of epoxy on it. I did not seal anything. I really only seal a couple of my vinyls, and I don't seal the one that is on here. I never seal my leaf. So I just brushed everything off really good and popped it on my turner for 2 more layers of epoxy. And I was really happy with how it turned out. And I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you guys decide to try this, please post it in the group. I always love to see what you guys come up with. And here are some finished pictures of both of the color combinations that I did. I think they both turned out super cute. And thank you guys for watching. If y'all enjoyed this tutorial or learned something new, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to catch the next video coming up that was picked just for you. As always, if you're looking for more tips, tricks, or tutorials, be sure to check out my tutorial group on Facebook or my Patreon group. Both are linked in the description. Thanks for watching.